Hello, hello, and welcome to my podcast. This is the One Self podcast. And as you know, this show is where wellness meets purpose, inspiring you to live intentionally and elevate your brand, business, and life. So today I have Mr. Len. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's cold.
It's cold. I know. Where are you zooming in from?
I'm in Oklahoma and it's 15 here.
Oh my goodness. We were at 70 yesterday in the
Oh,
daytime. It was awesome.
it
It was
is. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. I see all the things that are happening in colder places where they can't even get out of their house because the snow is so high. I'm thankful I'm in Arizona.
Sure, sure. It's warm.
Yes, yes. So, Len, I'd like to know a little bit about your professional background that got you into career coaching. What did you do before this?
Okay. Before this, what I've recently been doing is I've owned and operated oil wells. Okay.
Mhm.
And then before that, I spent several years in the insurance business. I insured businesses and people that did things like worked in refineries that blew up buildings, that
Mhm.
hauled gasoline, those kind of things that were difficult to insure.
Yes.
So I've done with disastrous situations, like I said, as well as operated my own oil wells. And so when I say operate, I mean I'm out there with the wrench
Mhm.
and doing that. And then I had people that also work for me. But
Okay.
I've had people that have driven trucks for me, long haul trucks.
Mhm.
So, I get it. When I tell somebody something about the job searching and what they need to do, I've
Mhm.
been the employer, as well as the applicant. So, and have I been fired? It happened. It's been a long time ago. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
that's basically what my background is.
mhm.
And so, that's,
So you've had a very, very diverse background where you've had to learn different things and play different hats throughout your life. So that's good that you bring all that experience with what you do now.
well, I did. The thing that's important is that you want to learn how to do something
Hmm.
and learn how to do it and do it well from people that know how to do it and do it well. And
Yes.
a lot of people don't. Okay.
Hmm. And
Nobody
then
wants to today, nobody wants amateurs, as
no.
far as careers. Everybody wants somebody who's good at what they do. And because the market has flipped to where it's an employer driven market rather than an employee market, like what it was during COVID, is that
Mhm.
things have changed. And there's so many people looking that companies feel like we don't have to train. We can get somebody who's good at it with as many people as are looking. And that's true.
Mhm.
So,
And honestly, speaking as well, it's like now with technology, they even just skim through it through AI to see for the keywords in your resume. But also, I think having a cover letter helps so much because your resume can only do so much. But I know things have changed. So, what are the new guidelines as to having a
okay.
solid resume?
Okay. Let's just flip back quickly to COVID. Okay. And when COVID was on, people had a hard time. Companies had a hard time getting good employees. Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to work 3 days a week. I only want to work 10 to 4. Okay. They would bend to that because they needed the people who had the experience and would do that.
Yes.
COVID's over. Okay. 2024, it started turning around
Mhm.
and people were looking for jobs that they could do, but people wanted to do jobs that they could do remotely. Okay.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
companies wanted to have people get back in the office
Mhm.
because you can see somebody sitting in the office if they're working or if they're
Correct.
sitting there and playing, Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Say, so yeah, you can't do that. Yeah.
No.
So, but in 2025, the whole thing flipped.
Mhm.
And now there are more people looking than there are jobs, skilled
Yeah.
jobs.
Mhm.
And I mean, technical school degree or a college degree. Okay.
Mhm.
And the situation, then AI started coming out midterm last year, second quarter last year. And
Mhm.
then really caught on speed in the third quarter and the fourth quarter of last year. And it's this way now. But the problem is with AI is not personal. It'll
Yeah.
give you the same answer. See? And the easiest way, I can just tell you quickly what I do with somebody. I say, walk me through your resume and
Mhm.
tell me a little bit more about this. And then
Mhm.
I find out within 1 minute that what they're saying and then what this AI made resume says, they don't match. See,
Mhm.
they don't do this.
Yes.
So that's the problem. And that's the problem. And people, instead of saying, I need to find somebody who's good at this. Okay. And with, as many people as there are on LinkedIn, there are some good people here.
Yes, there
But I
are.
tell people the thing that you need to do is you need to find somebody who has worked with at least 1,000 people to get them hired, and that what they are saying works today is getting people hired every month. Okay.
Mhm.
If you can't answer yes on both of those questions, you don't need that somebody. You
Yeah.
need to tell them, thank you anyway, leave me alone, go away, take your dog and leave. Okay.
Oh no, I know it's harder than we think. When you hire somebody, you have to not only make sure they're a nice person, can they perform the job? Because sometimes you have the people with the degrees that have just not had work experience, and then you have the people without the degree that has the work experience, and then you have companies that want both the experience and the degree. So it's just no two things are alike, and obviously the
Well,
personality
there
shows
was,
as well.
yeah, the guy that started Southwest Airlines, a guy named Herb Kelleher, he
Mhm.
said one thing. He said, I train for skill and I hire for attitude. Because he said, you can't train attitude.
No, not at all.
Either you have it or you don't. And that's the thing now is that most people that are looking for jobs that have a degree is
Mhm.
they have the skills, but they can't tell somebody what they do and why they're valuable. See?
Mhm.
And I say, I'll show you how to do that in 10 seconds.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely.
People are just, I said, was that a bad idea to do that? Well, they don't believe it. And I say, okay, what you know and what I know, they don't match. Okay. I'm not good at what you do. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you're a project manager, if you're an IT software person, okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. But for instance, I'll give you just a little short deal. I helped a man about 4 months ago get a job with Amazon. He was in Houston. Okay.
Mhm.
Nice 6-figure job. Sold the house and moved to Austin, Texas. Okay. Which is not too far from you. But
No.
anyway, what he said is that he solves software problems for large companies. And I said, no, that's not what we're going to say. What you're going to say is you solve software problems for at least 1,000 users.
Mhm.
That's all. Don't say anything else.
Yeah.
He was one of over 900 that applied for the same job. He got hired. I
Wow.
said, because you made it measurable in what you do that
Mhm.
they could understand. Okay.
Absolutely.
If you
Absolutely.
can't make what you do measurable, I don't need you.
Mhm.
See? And I tell people, I say, look, they work for me in the oil field. I said, tell me in 10 seconds why I need you. Because if you can, I do. If you can't, I don't.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the thing. But it's just that narrative, see, is it getting that down? Because everybody wants to be dedicated, supportive, and concerned about all the investors and everything else.
Mhm.
And it's meaningless, especially to a recruiter. And
Yes.
now with AI, the problem is that everybody is trying to contact a recruiter and get them to be noticing them. But
Yes.
the recruiters may have 4 or 5 jobs. They don't know what the technical lingo is, and they
Mhm.
don't care. See,
Mhm.
you've got
Yeah.
to say something. Here's why you need me. See, and that's what I show people how to do is why does somebody need you? Why do they need Natasha? Not why do we need somebody, but
Yes.
why do we need Natasha? And if you can say that and quantitate it
Mhm.
in 10, 15 seconds, great. Okay. If you can't, goodbye.
It's almost like in our world, your 30-second pitch. Like when you meet somebody, the first impression, what are you going to say about yourself? You have 30 seconds.
Sure.
And it's just, be able to fine tune exactly who you are. And people on the opposite end can feel that confidence and that clarity, how you speak. So it all plays a role for sure.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. The people, because you're going to get asked when you meet somebody, you're going to say, what's your name? Where are you from? Do you have 4 kids, and an ugly dog? And then the next question is going to be, what do you do? What kind of job do you do? And then people want to be impressive and they go off with all kinds of trade lingo. Okay. IT information.
Yes.
I'll ask somebody, for instance, and most recruiters will do the same thing.
Mhm.
They'll ask somebody what they do 2 times.
Mhm.
And if they don't understand it, I'll stand there and I'll smile, but
Mhm.
I'm not listening to what you're saying. I'm just
Yeah.
waiting to say goodbye.
Yes.
See? And that's the thing where people miss it because so many people that are good at what they do don't get hired because they don't know how to say it in a meaningful way. See,
Yes.
it's not important if I'm the applicant, what I think is
Mhm.
valuable. It's what's valuable to you, the recruiter or the HR manager. So
True.
it's just a little shift, but
Hmm.
it's the shift that goes from I don't get any interviews to like one woman I helped in Cleveland 2 weeks ago. She'd been looking for 90 days, a CPA. Okay. And we went from nothing to 3 interviews and an offer.
Wow.
And
That's awesome.
yeah, just because we quantified what she said and made it measurable with numbers.
Hmm.
And when you can do that, then you become valuable because people are going to get hired because you have a recent history that I can handle this much. But
Absolutely.
everybody says I work with a team. Well, was your team 2 people or was it 15?
Hmm. That
See,
makes a big difference.
yeah,
Definitely.
totally.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. So
yeah, that's the thing.
my thing is, what inspired you to now find this concept of fire to hired in 30 days? You
Uh,
create framework, and what patterns did you notice in people when they bounce back quickly? So it's a two
okay.
part.
And the fire to hired in 30 days is I don't care where you are or what you do. We can do this. We can do this and make this happen.
Hmm.
And what you are willing to pay and what I can do for you, those two don't have anything to do with each other. Okay.
Hmm.
People have a hard time with that. But
Yeah.
what inspired me is that being an employer in different businesses is
Hmm.
that I wanted to give something back into the community. So that's why I was doing this with roughly now 1,900 people that I've
Wow.
done across a desk sitting
That's
with him and told him, I said, your resume won't work. I'm not interested. I'm not going to read it. See,
awesome.
you're going to look at a resume 6 or 7 seconds, and
Yeah.
then I'm gone. If it doesn't interest me, I'm gone because the stack of resumes over here is like this.
Hmm.
See, and a lot of times what people don't realize is that that's what you're facing. See, so that's what I want to do is being unemployed is painful. Okay. In England, they call it being redundant. Well, nobody's redundant.
Hmm.
Okay. I mean, it's crazy to say somebody's redundant. Okay. But that's what I wanted to do is to give back. So I started looking for the people that could help me be better at what I do as
Hmm.
far as the hiring. I knew what I needed and what I wanted in an employee, but it doesn't necessarily mean what does somebody want in a IT person, okay, and data management or whatever it might be, so or project manager, okay. But that's the thing is I wanted to find out what I could and go to people who are really good at it to say, hey, we've hired over 1,000 people, we've trained over 1,000 people, because when you can get to a certain level, then above that, the people are good at what they do. See, and if you're going to hire somebody, you want somebody who has the experience and can do it today. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
don't want trainees. Don't send an electrician out to fix my house that's a trainee. You
Yeah.
know, I don't
Yeah.
want the lights to go off. You
Yeah.
know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so that's what inspired me was wanting to give back and then being able to do it to where I could say confidently, here's a gift that I've got, and
Hmm.
I'm going to help you with this and do it quickly. Okay.
Yes.
So the
Absolutely.
people, but what will change people is if they're willing to say, look, I don't know how to do this.
Hmm.
And here's what I've been doing. Tell me why it's not working. Tell me why I'm not getting the interview. Most people will wait till they get desperate
Hmm.
and it's the first of the month and I've got rent due. I've got a car payment.
Yes.
And then, I need a job. Well, what kind of job? A job. Well, no, you don't need a job. You need something that you're good at. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's why you're going to get hired.
It makes a difference. It makes a difference when you enjoy going to work every day with skills that you're good at. You feel better. You feel more confident. You just change your whole trajectory of who you are
Yeah.
uh, when you're
Yeah.
in a place that you feel welcome and good at.
Well, and then people want to do a career transition. Okay.
Mhm.
I remember I helped a woman who had she'd been teaching school for 26 years
Mhm.
and she wanted to do something different. And I said, okay, how many kids? What did you teach? Sixth graders. I said, how many kids did you normally teach a year? About 60. And I said, okay. You got roughly 60 kids in classes. Now,
Mhm.
how many of those did you take from C's and D's to A's and B's? Okay.
Mhm.
And she said over 65%. And I said,
That's
okay,
great.
that's two things. You know the number and you have elevated those children. Okay.
Mhm.
That means that you're good because if you can convince a 12-year-old to listen to you, you can
Yes,
talk to adults. Yeah.
yes,
So I
absolutely.
said, we need to get you in something. And he said, I don't know what I want to do. I said, well, find that out. Okay. I said, you're good at communication with people face to face. So
Mhm.
you just need to be in front of somebody to where you're solving a situation right now. And then you go on to the next person. That's all. Okay. And
Absolutely.
so, okay, helped her get a job. She's happy dealing with people working for a county, a local county government, and
Mhm.
dealing with people with questions they have every day. And, it's about 10 minutes and then she's gone to the next one. Everybody goes home happy.
Exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
do you notice in people who bounce back quickly?
they're willing to listen to understand what they don't know that
Mhm.
they need to know. Because the one thing about it is they realize that you don't get a do over on an interview
Mhm.
one time. And so let's, a lot of people, the ones that will bounce back are the ones that can say, okay, I need to find out because every job I apply for, I want to do.
Yes,
I'm narrowing it down. I'm focused. And those are the ones that do that. Yeah. So it's
that's
it's it's just mainly being willing to just admit that what I'm doing is not working, and I need to find out what I can do that will work, and that's and that's it. So and
absolutely.
it's just numbers and people. Well, you don't understand me. You don't know me. I don't have to. Okay,
Mhm.
it's numbers. You know? So and
Absolutely.
then it's finding out where they fit. Okay, getting fired. What's
So
it?
getting fired can shake confidence.
Yes.
What's the first mindset shift someone needs to make in the first 48 hours?
Okay. First mind shift is stop looking for a job.
Mhm.
Okay. You're not looking for a job anymore. You're looking for somebody who needs what you're good at doing.
Yes.
That's 180 degrees. Okay.
Mhm.
When you go someplace, you go to the grocery store. Okay. You go to the Piggly Wiggly, or whatever.
Yes.
And, and you walk in there and your mind is telling you, everybody in here's got a job but me.
Mhm.
Okay. No, no. It should be there are people in here that work for companies that need what I can do and I'm
Yes.
good at doing. Okay.
Mhm.
That's it. When you can change that and realize that, and everywhere you go, and 3 o'clock in the morning when you wake up,
Mhm.
and you know what's going to happen the first of the month, how can I pay the bills? How can I take care of childcare? Those kind of things. Is
Mhm.
it that's what they've got to do in that first 48 hours and continue to do that. And so dealing with somebody who can help you and keep reinforcing those good things, then I
That,
said, look, if I
that's
can show you how to do the right things easy and make the wrong things hard, we can get there.
absolutely 100%. That's why it's important to have career coaches, mentors that can help you through that process because you can't do it alone. Sometimes you do need that second perspective to open up your mind on how to interview, what I can change in my resume, and it really does help.
Well, that's right. And there need to be people, again, that are doing it every month right
Mhm.
now, not somebody who can say, well, when I was doing this,
Mhm.
5 years ago, five
Mhm.
years ago is a different world.
Yes.
Okay. That
Yes.
was before COVID when people read resumes. Okay.
Yes.
They don't read them anymore. They don't read CVs in Europe. Okay? I deal with people in Europe or in Canada, their CVs. So it becomes that. And it has to be that you find somebody who's good at what they're doing today,
Mhm.
not yesterday. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because that's what'll help them. Because again, no do-overs on interviews.
100.
So
Mhm.
you
So
want to apply once okay, let's talk interviews.
let's talk interviews. So how should someone confidently explain being fired without oversharing or sounding defensive?
Okay. We say in that situation is that things changed and there was new management or the company brought in a new hiring person, I mean, a new manager for me. And that manager and I, we just didn't really see things the same way.
Mhm.
And I had been hired to work a certain level of hours, and
Mhm.
that increased, but my pay didn't increase.
Mhm.
And so I decided it's just time to move on and moved on. Or there was a large layoff, like with Verizon.
Mhm.
Last year, they laid off 13,000 people, and I was
Mhm.
part of a layoff. There's nothing I could do about it. But I got good recommendations on the job I was doing before I was let go.
Mhm.
So, okay. And then the people move on. I
Yes, yes,
show them how to say things like that so that the person that's interviewing them can't say, oh, well, no, no, they can't disagree. You want
exactly.
to say things to the interviewer that they can't disagree with.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
so you, everything's positive. Everything's
Makes
positive. You got to turn it around.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So many people panic when they apply to hundreds of jobs and they don't hear back. So why does that approach often backfire, and what should they do instead?
Okay. That approach is they're not focused. They're
Mhm.
just throwing mud on the wall. I
Mhm.
worked with a man about 3 years ago that applied for 2,800 jobs.
Wow.
Is it 20? Okay. You're not good at 2,800 jobs. I mean,
No,
come
not
on.
at all.
No. Okay. Yeah. And so it backfires because they're not focused. They're not looking for someone who needs what they can do. They're just saying, I need a job. And
Mhm.
when you're desperate, desperate comes across.
Yeah.
It comes across to a recruiter. They're not going to refer you. It
Mhm.
comes across to a hiring manager that
Mhm.
you're desperate. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to have that mind shift that I'm looking for somebody who needs what I'm good at. Yeah.
Exactly.
And but they can, that panic situation is tough. So they need to first realize what is it that they do
Mhm.
that they can do and do well. How much of it can they handle? Okay.
Mhm.
How much workload can you handle? And
Yes.
you need to be able to explain that. So it's not, again, it's not a team. It's I worked with six, I worked with eight.
Mhm.
I had
Quantify.
35, yeah, 35 reports underneath me, that kind of thing. So that's it. And then when you do that, then you're confident that maybe, for instance, I dealt with a woman this morning who was upset because there was an intern, a company was hired somebody internally.
Mhm.
And that person, I said, okay, you're going to have two things in that situation. Don't get upset, but either they're doing one thing is they're wanting to find out if you are better than the internal person that they have that they want to hire.
Mhm.
And then two, they want to say that we're making this job available to anybody. Okay. Whether that's really not the case or not, they're
Mhm.
wanting to, present that. So those two things. And if it does, whatever's happened, let it go,
Yes.
and move on because that door's closed.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. So,
you know,
what do you think are the biggest mistakes job seekers make in the first 2 weeks after being fired?
biggest mistakes that they're going to make is not sitting down and saying, make a list of all the people that they knew,
Mhm.
that they worked with, vendors that they knew. If you knew the guy that came and watered the plants at the office, if you knew, somebody that brought the coffee in for the company or something else, office supplies, is
Mhm.
make a list of all those people, while it's still fresh in your mind. Okay. And do that. It's important to do that. Yeah, you want some time off to kind of release, okay, and do that. And that's great. Do that. But during the day, make that list of people and then get a narrative of what you're going to say to somebody. Okay.
Mhm.
So that when you call somebody and hi, don't ask them how they feel. Don't
Mhm.
ask them what's going on with the family, and how's soccer. They don't care. Whatever you're doing, you're interrupting them.
Yeah.
See? And so just be brief and to the point and tell them what you need. Make sure it's understandable to them. Okay. And then get down a narrative to what you say that people understand what you do.
Exactly.
And the quickest thing I tell people, I said, if you think that everybody understands what you do this one thing. You go next door or
Mhm.
call a friend and say, I need you for 3 minutes.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you what I do, and you tell me what you heard.
Mhm.
They don't match.
Mhm.
In most cases, they won't match.
Yes.
And because you've been so close to the vine, you
Mhm.
can't see, the rest of it, the garden.
Very true. Very true.
And yeah, and that's the problem. So you need to get prepared in that first 2 weeks while everything is still fresh. Okay. And then realize that and think about everybody that you know and make a list and keep a record of it
Mhm.
so that you can call and then get down that narrative of what you're going to say to people so that it's effective. Okay.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
You emphasize speed and alignment. How do you help clients avoid landing another job that isn't right fit?
There I tell them, I said, look, you can do two things. This job may not align with you that's available that you could take. So it could be what I call a bridge job, is that where you've been on the ladder, maybe way up here,
Mhm.
but here's a job that's midway. Okay. That's a bridge to get you here. It may be two steps that you need to take to get back to where you were. Okay.
Mhm.
But if you take something and it isn't in alignment, you're not going to be happy.
No,
Okay.
not
With the
at
job, you're going to
all.
hate Mondays. Yeah. And
But I
so I
think
said,
every job teaches you some skills that you can take over to the next one. I really do feel that way.
that's right. Yeah. So that's the thing, is if you're willing to do that, which now with so many people looking, is
Mhm.
that that's a viable option.
Yeah.
Is see this as I can do this. Okay.
Mhm.
And I mean, I helped a guy get a job who had no college degree working in a hospital. He
Mhm.
had been an assistant manager of a convenience store chain here, and he was assistant manager and did real well.
Mhm.
But he's 21 and had no degree. Okay. Well, he gets a job in charge of some supplies there
Mhm.
for the crash carts on 2 floors in a hospital. What he
Wow.
really wanted to do was fix computers,
Mhm.
but they've got over 20,000 people in the hospital. I
Yes.
said, do you think that maybe there's 2 or 3 computers that need to be fixed today? Okay. Now, when you get this job, and he'd been there about 3 weeks, I
Mhm.
talked to him and I said, okay, when the opportunity comes up for somebody to fix a a laptop or to fix a desktop computer, is
Mhm.
that we've got somebody who's already on staff. You're the
Yes.
preferred candidate.
Exactly. Exactly.
See? So I said, that's those are the kind of things that in the alignment is that you can see that a company may need you to
Mhm.
do other things, but right now fill the position that they have and then be the internal candidate
Yes, because you can
with
always
this.
move up. You can always move
Yeah,
up the ladder, and also when they see how efficiently and effectively you work, sometimes the managers just come to you and say, "Hey, have you ever thought about applying for this other position?" But it's just about getting your foot right in the door so you can get to those
sure.
people.
And
So,
some people find when they start doing other things that I like this a whole lot better,
hmm,
you know,
absolutely,
and they can still use their skills where there's
absolutely.
communication. But the biggest problem we're having now is communication. People
Mhm.
just they don't want to, and they're afraid to, because they've been inside. They've been working, somebody been working remotely, and they haven't had to answer to somebody face
Absolutely.
to face. And
Yep.
it's tough. So,
And
customer service is usually after you get past Starbucks and Chick-fil-A, it
mhm.
starts going downhill.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. So, what should someone absolutely stop doing on their resume and LinkedIn if they wanted faster results?
Okay. The first thing, lose the paragraph at the top that says their opening summary,
Mhm.
because I'm not going to read it. A recruiter is not going to read it. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Get down. You want to say 3 things. I want
Mhm.
to say what your job title is, and that's 2 or 3 words.
Mhm.
Okay? It might be 4, but that's all. Okay. You don't put that you can do this and this and this. Okay. And then you want to say how large of a company you've worked for,
Okay.
either in terms of number of employees. And
Mhm.
this is in the past 1 to 3 years. Number of employees or estimated annual sales.
Okay.
And then you want to say how much you handled, directed, manufactured, produced.
Mhm.
Okay. In there. So you say those 3 things, nothing about how
Really
long
tough.
you've been there, 15 years. And then if somebody's got that they worked on for the past 20 or more years,
Mhm.
lose that.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Take that off. 15 years plus. That's all. You don't want to say 20 or 25. Okay. People do that and that shoots themselves in the foot
Mhm.
because they're mid 40s and they work someplace 25 years. Okay. Well, the person that is interviewing them is probably late 20s.
Mhm.
And they're going to say, "You're old enough to be my dad and or my uncle, and I don't want to work with my uncle.
Oh,
He's weird." Okay, see, so that's what they need to do is just like I said, lose that,
little
because when I see an opening paragraph, it's over. See,
yes, absolutely.
and yeah,
Those are the older styles of how resumes used to be, and
yeah,
now it's all different for sure.
yeah,
So,
and yeah. Go ahead. What role does
what role does networking really play in getting hired within 30 days, especially for people who hate networking? Because
okay,
I
okay,
know for myself personally, I have. some of the jobs that I have gotten is because I went to a networking event. So what role do you think networking plays now in getting hired within 30 days?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you a little story here because everybody likes stories. Is that I've got a friend here who worked for the state,
Mm-hmm.
and he trained people there to get jobs, and uh, and he had worked in a prison. Okay, all of them were felons, so they can't work around money or they can't work around things they can walk out the back door with at the end of the day. But he was very successful in getting people hired.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what he did when he had a previous management job for a company and decided that he needed a new job, he got let go. The company went broke. Okay. And it was a group of stores. But anyway, they went broke. Well, he came here and he went to a trade group that had monthly luncheons. And he asked me, he said, "What can I do to help you?" He said, "Well, we need somebody to take the money at the table for the luncheons." Okay. All the people, this was HR managers. Okay. It was the association, TARA, Tulsa Association of Hiring Managers. Okay.
Yes.
But all those people there are hiring managers. Well, he did this for 2 months. Now he goes and picks up the phone and says, "Hi, this is Steve. Remember me?" "Oh, yeah, Steve." Okay. Automatically gets through.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's networking. He said, "I got a free lunch." Okay. And I knew all these people first name. Okay.
Great.
So, yeah, it's that networking thing. But again, it gets back to what do you do and how can you tell me that so I'll understand what you do
Correct.
so that I can help you. And you don't ask may, and maybe or if you run it. No. You don't ask those things. You want a definitive answer. Okay.
Correct.
How many
Absolutely.
people? Give me 2 names of people I can call. Or who do you know? Okay. But that's what the networking is going to work because those are people that know you and you don't know who you need to know
Exactly.
yet, but you'll find them out. And the only thing you do is just go meet somebody. When you're standing in line, say hello, be friendly to people.
It helps because you just never know when the right opportunity is going to strike. You could
Well,
be
yeah,
anywhere. Yeah, you could be anywhere. You could be on a plane for all you know, and the person next to you is a hiring manager of a company that you
that's
may
right.
work with. So you
That's
just
right. Even at the Walmart, you go to Walmart, okay, and you're at the checkout, and they're going to say, "Did you find everything you wanted?"
yeah.
They ask you the same question everywhere, and you can say, "Here's what I tell them to say." I said, "Say this." "Well, everything but a new job." Well, we don't have an aisle for that, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't know. See, it doesn't cost you anything to do that. It's a little humor. And the guy that's standing there could say, "Well, we don't have that." But my uncle, he works for Amazon. He works for FedEx. He's a manager.
Yes. You never know who you're going to run into. So that's a good thing.
Exactly. And so don't decide because somebody's doing something like that they don't know somebody that you need to know and want to know. See? And they can give you that referral. So just the same is the guy that comes in to a manufacturing plant and maybe he sells new trucks. Okay. Well, he's going to know other companies that have fleets. And if you've been in this job here that you've had, and now you've been let go for some reason, and you're not in charge of loading so many trucks a day, well, you call the guy at Freightliner, you call the guy at Peterbilt, you call the guy at Ford, see, and you find out, hey, I'm looking for a new job here. What customers do you have like the one that I used to work for, see?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's the thing and they may not know exactly who you want to know, but they're one step closer than you are today.
Absolutely. So, from your experience, what separates people who get hired in 30 days from those who stay stuck for 6 to 12 months?
EGO. They can't get that off their forehead. Okay. Is that, and I'm not trying to be harsh with people, but if you think that you know how to do it all by yourself, well, like Dr. Phil says, how's that working for you?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It's really hard to do things solo. I mean, once you start delegating and to people that know what they're doing, it really does help a lot so that you can grow yourself, your mindset, and even get results. Because I highly believe in coaching. I mean, that's what I do for the startups that I work with. But even for yourself, like you work with people that are genuinely looking for results because they need to
Sure.
have a job. So yeah, hiring help really does help in
Yeah.
the long
I worked with a woman this past year who she was going on her 52nd interview. She was out in Utah. They were going on her 52nd interview. And I said, you've had 52 interviews and no
Yeah.
solid offer, but it
Mhm.
wasn't her problem.
Yes, yes,
Okay. Whose is it then? Okay.
yes.
You know, so yeah, that's the thing is that, yeah, people need to realize that, you want to get hired and you want to get hired quickly. So let's find this. And it may be that you do take that bridge job, but don't discount it because there's huge value in having somebody say, we want to see you here tomorrow,
Yes,
tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow morning. Okay. And
100%.
because you feel valued then, and it may not be great, but it's a start and it's 50% better or more than where you were yesterday.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for someone listening right now who was just fired and feels overwhelmed, what's one action that they can take today to regain that momentum?
Okay. Is make that list of the people that you have in your network that the vendors, people that you've worked with in the past 1 to 3 years. Okay. And other than that, they're going to be rusty at best. Okay. Make a list of those people. And you can say, hey, somebody on this list can help me. I don't know if it's number 1 or number 16. Okay. Is make that list to do that. And then get with somebody who has done this with many, many people who understands what you're going through and can help you because the experience that they have and making a lot of mistakes so that you don't make that mistake and that you can get a good interview. You can get a hold of a recruiter. Like I said, with a woman in Cleveland, you go from no interviews to 3 in a week. Well, your whole attitude changes. See?
Absolutely, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. So
Yeah.
my last question for you before we end our podcast is, what inspires you daily, every day?
To be able to remove the pain of unemployment from people.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because if you've ever been there, you know how it feels.
Oh, yes.
And it doesn't make a difference what they pay
Mhm,
for the coaching that I can do or to somebody else.
mhm.
What inspires me is the fact that I can make a difference in somebody else's life today that they didn't have. Okay. And you
I,
make a real difference. And when you can make a difference, I mean, you look at whether or not somebody has a family problem or they have a problem with it, maybe divorce. Okay.
mhm,
Uh, is it when they can get a job? A
mhm.
lot of those other things kind of seem to work out.
Yes, yes.
So that's the thing that inspires me is I made a difference in somebody else's life. And I'm just thankful. It's a gift that God gave me. And I'm thankful to be able to use it,
Yes.
for that. And I say, hey, you can be thankful. Okay. I want you to be thankful for it. And if you were someplace else, it would be somebody else instead of me. But
Yes.
that's the thing is you need to be with somebody who cares about seeing you get hired
Mhm.
and get hired quickly because the
Yes.
first of the month seems to come around too quick.
Absolutely, 100%. So for those of you watching, you can follow Leonard Ritz on LinkedIn and Facebook to get in touch with him. And if you want to see the replay, you can go to at One Self Consulting on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So I'd like to leave with a quote: when purpose leads, impact follows. Signing off, oneself. Thank you so much for being on the show. I look forward to connecting with you in the near future.
Okay, Natasha, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one. See you,
Okay,
everybody.
you